Welcome to Exhuming the Truth, the podcast where we delve into the mysterious worlds of cold cases, missing persons, true crime, and the fascinating science that is forensics. I'm forensic scientist and criminologist Asha Walther, and I am so thrilled to have you with me on this journey as we dance in the shadows of the world of crime, shining a light on scientific discovery while becoming another voice for those who need it most. So grab a drink and get comfortable while we jump into this episode together. Hey guys, happy Tuesday or whatever day it is that you're listening to this. It is Tuesday the 9th of September as I'm recording, and I hope you noticed that I did not include the verbal disclaimer in today's episode. I'm trialing that and seeing how that kind of goes and putting that into the notes and on the website and things like that. But obviously by listening, just to shove it in there, by listening you agree that you're over the age of 18 and you understand that there is explicit content. So I'm going to jump right into housekeeping. Hopefully you've also noticed that Spotify has taken one for the team and created chapters. So you should be able to jump ahead to parts that interest you if you are not interested in housekeeping. We have an episode coming together for what in the world is going on in Queensland right now and for the last few years, and that is obviously not going to be the headline. But basically that episode, what I'm doing is going over the crimes that have been taking over the state, and in particular the state's response to these crimes, including the system, like the systemic issues rather than the system. What are you talking about, hun? So the systemic issues are extreme, to put it lightly, obviously, if you've listened to our episode on Luke Gilbert. I've got a lot of people giving me their stories and information and bits and pieces that I'm putting together for that episode. It's quite content heavy, I'm not going to lie, but I want to mention that tomorrow is the 10th of September, which is the date for the inquest for Aaron Clear. So I want to put that reminder out there into the universe and send all of my love and my good energy to Aaron's family. In particular, I want to mention his sister Cassandra. I've been working pretty closely with her for quite some time, and often we don't get, too often we don't get the answers we want in an inquest. And not just the answers we want, the answers we need and deserve at an inquest. But that's literally why I work so hard at what I do. I don't just disappear off the face of the earth like the system does once they've categorized things like this. So yeah, please send all your love to Aaron's loved ones, his family, and if you're in the area, feel free to go and support. But don't forget they have a Facebook page and a TikTok page, which are both called Where is Aaron Clear? So you can follow both of those closely too. And they do have a GoFundMe, as I believe the funds on the GoFundMe are to help them investigate further and, get the answers that they need and deserve. So that's that. I have to acknowledge that I've been a little bit slow on the replies this last week. As you'll know if you've actually listened from the start, I do have a disability along with a few health conditions to complement that. And often that and the frequent medication, I take a lot of medication every day, but some days that really takes a lot out of me. So it just depends what I'm doing. Some days I have a bit of a hard time, and I've just been adjusting medication for one of my health conditions. So I do apologize that I'm a little bit slow on the replies this last sort of 7 to 10 days. I am doing my best to get up to date with everyone, and I will. But please just continue to be patient, and thank you for being so patient. And lastly, for housekeeping, merchandise. I have pre-orders open right now for merchandise, which I believe off the top of my head is the Exhuming the Truth t-shirts in either black or grey. So that just has Exhuming the Truth on the front left, top left, front. I don't know how to describe that. There's a logo on the top left of the t-shirt, and on the back is the I logo, which is large. So that's either black or grey, and then the same in the hoodies, and then the caps in black or grey, which have Exhuming the Truth and the eye symbol / logo on them. So I did not do that justice at all, and I'm well aware of that. But let's just move on and get right into today's episode. Welcome to Into the Wilderness, fugitive father Tom Phillips. This is such a controversial story, and for a number of reasons. But before I even get started, I have to say the way that the world works is just so bizarre. I often discuss cases that I'm covering with my mum because she's my best friend. So I'm always like, oh, I'm doing this at the moment, and we chat. And literally, I am not even kidding. A week, maximum 2 weeks ago, we were sitting on the couch and I was like talking about this case that has like no coverage. I'm like, how bad is that? And mum's like, remember that guy in New Zealand who took off with his kids and like never to be seen since? Like, whatever happened to him? Like, why is no one covering that? And I was like, yeah, bizarre. Like, that's so weird that, he's taken off into quote unquote the wilderness and, there's been no follow up. Next minute, this is blowing up my phone. The day, I believe it was the 8th, that he was, I suppose, found / captured / shot. Now, the controversy around this is, it is about the story itself. And I have to acknowledge that we do not know the full picture by any means. It's really hard when you are sort of brought up and conditioned to believe everything that the media feeds you / everything that the police feed you. It's just not always the case, and somewhere outside of those two separate stories lies the truth, and it's one of those things that we may not ever know. So you do have to come to terms with that, in one way or another, rather. And I have to just disclaim that because I can't present to you what I don't know. But today I am going to present to you this story from a number of perspectives, including the perspectives of the people on the internet, because I had posted the conclusion, we could say, to this case, I suppose, when Tom was shot by the New Zealand police, literally just saying, hey, remember this story? It's just come to an end. They've just shot him and located one child at the time, and then later, after I'd made the video, they recovered the other 2 children alive and well. And that, the comments were wild. And obviously the internet is always full of conspiracy theories. We have to also acknowledge that. But take what you will, form your own opinions, I suppose. Again, just acknowledge that we're never going to know the full truth. And this is, 3 young lives that do deserve privacy. So I'm not going to talk too much about the kids. It's more so going to be about the storyline of events that we do know and possible perspectives. So I just wanted to get that out there. So we have Tom Phillips, a New Zealand father. His sister, Rosie, Rozzi, she did say at the end of August, before this all went down, she did an interview and she said that when he did first leave with the children, he did have legal custody of the kids at the time. I'll go into that a bit later. But as it stands, when he was in the bush, he had, when he left to go into the bush, he had custody. And then when he was in the bush or wilderness, the custody then lay with a New Zealand organisation called Oranga Tamariki, which is the Ministry of Children. So that is basically the state. So the state did have custody of the children when he was missing, and I'll explain that again when we get up to that. People online, after quite a bit of research, are saying that whoever has had to deal with Oranga Tamariki in New Zealand would have likely done what he did. And I'm assuming that's because they are not known to be fantastic, also that people say online. But what do we know? Okay, so let me give you the facts as they stand. There were 2 disappearances to begin with. So let's go to September 2021. So it's the 11th of September 2021. And Tom Phillips has his 3 children, okay? And they disappear from an area in New Zealand, and I don't know how to say it. Marokopa. I'm not even going to try and do it justice. But he has disappeared with his 3 children from this area. 2 days later, his Toyota Hilux was found on a beach, and basically authorities were thinking that there had been an accident. They found the car, they haven't found the 4, and they're like freaking out. So they have launched an operation to search for them. But come the 30th of September, the family, well, by the family, I mean Tom and the 3 kids, they return home unharmed, totally fine. And because of that, and because of the search and rescue, mission, I suppose, Tom Phillips was charged with wasting police resources. Okay, so that is September. Now, the second disappearance occurred in December of that year. So it's the 9th of December 2021, and Phillips again vanishes with the 3 kids. And this is in the middle of this alleged custody dispute. So come January, right, he's disappeared on the 9th of December with the kids. He was set to appear in court in January for this family custody dispute, and he did not. Therefore, an arrest warrant was issued for him. Now, this is where I am assuming, and that's exactly what I'm doing. This could be false, but I am assuming that he had full custody of the children. This court date was set for January. He was obviously feeling uneasy about it for whatever reason. And has taken off with the kids, but because he didn't appear in January, the custody of the children has gone to the state because he has essentially disappeared with the kids. That could not be correct, but that's what I can only assume from this information. Now, come the 9th of February 2022, he briefly contacts his family just to say, hey, it's me, I've got the kids, we're all safe, and just wanted to let you know so you weren't freaking out, but I'm not going to tell you where we are. I don't know by what means that communication was or whose phone or whatever. Now, there were early search and media, you could say, efforts. In 2022 to 2023, the police basically was super frustrated and had no leads on this, and they were just assuming that the family might have received outside assistance because they're how the hell is this guy still missing with these kids? Come the 8th of December 2022, and the family actually offered $10,000 reward. And that was for any information. It wasn't actually for Tom. It was just for any information to help them. And then they're saying that, when you research it, they're saying there was a first confirmed sighting in August 2023. So we jump ahead to the 3rd of August 2023, and it says, I quote, a confirmed sighting of Phillips without the children in a stolen Toyota Hilux occurs. There was no other information there. But then September 2023, Tom Phillips is then charged in connection with an armed bank robbery, which... Again, I can't find anything else. And again, he's being charged, but they're not actually serving him because they don't know where he is. So then in late 2023, so it was the 14th of November 2023, police released CCTV footage of Tom Phillips and one of the kids, and they were attempting to break into a store, which is very sad to me because they are obviously desperate. I haven't seen the footage myself, but that's what all of the articles are telling me occurred, so that's just what I'm giving you. Now, the reward from here escalates because they're hey, we know they're still alive, at least one of the kids with him. We've seen them, trying to break into a store. Obviously, they're trying to get supplies and what have you. We need to up this reward. So on the 11th of June in 2024, the police raised the reward amount to $80,000, and they're offering immunity to anyone who's helping him or the kids or both. And this is when the kid's mother, who we refer to as Kat, she appealed publicly, basically saying she wants her kids back. Then October 2024, there were pig hunters who spotted Phillips with all 3 kids hiking. And this was the first confirmed full family sighting since 2021. So this was the first time that police and media are like, okay, we have the whole family still together here. So then they have, for some reason, between October and March, done not much. And then come March 2025, so this year, the police decided to launch a fresh search in the wilderness. And that got a lot of community attention, but of course did not result in anything. So they were frustrated. Then late August, just gone, there was footage from a break-in. So the police released a CCTV of Tom Phillips and one child breaking into the same store that they allegedly targeted in 2023. And they hoped that by releasing this footage that new leads would come through and be like, yeah, I can help you with XYZ, or give you a lead to find out where they are or where they went. Now, the 8th of September, which was earlier this week, in the early hours, Tom Phillips and one of the kids, which actually I believe to be the oldest daughter. So Tom and the daughter attempt a burglary at a rural supply store. And from here, obviously, police are notified and they have deployed road spikes, and Tom Phillips fires a gun on an arriving officer, and it hit him in the head, which critically injured him. And a second officer then arrives on scene and fatally shoots Tom Phillips. So obviously from here, there was the one child that was with her father, and that child actually helped police to locate the younger 2 siblings. Basically was like, okay, I'll show you where they are. So by the evening of the 8th, all 3 kids aged roughly 9, 10 and 12 were found safe in dense bushland. And they're saying it was at a campsite set up with firearms. So authorities then confirmed that the kids were physically okay and they were being cared for by Oranga Tamariki, which is obviously not what Tom wanted and was trying to avoid for whatever his reason may be. And the medical team were obviously there assisting the children, and they were investigating into the incident and how Tom Phillips had survived so long, and that is, I assume, going to continue quite a while, because that's nearly 4 years of missing in the wilderness in New Zealand. It blows my mind every time I say it out loud. Now, when I was trying to find initial information, and by that I mean the beginning of this whole thing, so 2021, it was really hard to find. I'm not going to lie. And I noticed that that was because of 2 reasons. And those were the limited media coverage. They were kind of only telling you what they wanted to tell you. The initial 2021 disappearances were really briefly covered when the family reappeared. So that first little one. But because they resurfaced and then disappeared again, these media outlets obviously shifted their focus, and, the story then got more attention when sightings were frequent, and that kind of helped them dramatize their story, I suppose. And the second reason is the evolving focus of reporting. So articles and reporting that do mention 2021 often focus on the fact that he just took off. That's basically all you read. It's oh, yeah, in 2021 he took his kids and took off into the wilderness. That's basically it. There's not really any perspective on that at all. The kid's mother, Kat, she consistently described her ex-partner's actions as using their kids as quote-unquote pawns in his game. And she accused him of putting their safety at risk, which, I mean, fair. Yeah, it's just such a wild story. But in late 2024, she reported that she saw Tom at a Bunnings. So she obviously alerted authorities then. That's just so random. What was that? Sorry, that was an email and I thought I silenced everything and I have no idea what device that just came from. Anyway, by mid-2025, Kat and her family decided, like, let's do a new public appeal for Tom to bring the kids home. And she, basically was like, I love you so much, I miss you, come home, blah, blah, blah. Also knowing her kids are in the wilderness with no TV, so just wild to me. But anyway, now circulating online, it takes a bit of a dig. I did a big dig to get any of this information. But there was an opinion piece, and in that opinion piece, it was suggested that Kat had raised concerns with the system, and had potential warning signs of abuse, but those concerns were actually dismissed by authorities. So whether they're true or not, a whole other thing, which leads me into speculation and online theories, because I want to touch on those because why not? And that's what everyone's saying online. So you can make up your own mind. But before I go into it, like, no reputable sources confirm anything I'm about to tell you. It's literally just people online. There are people saying that the mum is abusing substances and that is why he had custody. There's Reddit threads that reflect that. Quote unquote from Reddit, the mother of the kids had/has issues with drug use, in brackets, methamphetamine, which is why she lost custody originally. Again, that is just by a user on Reddit. Then we have, quote unquote, the mother has severe addiction issues and other problems. He had to take extreme measures to keep his kids safe. Anyway, like I said, these are anonymous. Well, not anonymous. They're just not from a reputable source. And they're more so community opinions, I guess, and not verified. And they obviously lack evidence and should be treated with caution. However, there is a lot to be said with things that circulate online. So the idea of Kat suffering with substance abuse problems does stem from, obviously, speculation online. And, what is backed by credible sources is that Kat obviously kept appealing to have her children back. And if that could be actually her feelings on this, or it could also be like a bit of a media push. We just don't know. It's just very possible the media haven't shown the full story, because they often don't. But here's why with this case in particular, it's possible that they haven't shown the full story. So I did have to do a little bit of research for us family on the family court system in New Zealand, because I'm not 100% familiar with it. But I did find that the New Zealand family court operates under strict privacy rules. So this means that, like, details about custody disputes and parenting orders and social services and stuff are suppressed usually, obviously to protect the kids. And obviously a lot of people online are saying the same thing. The family court is just very tough there. Some legal experts have argued that this, like, shroud of secrecy can prevent the public from seeing the full context of high-profile cases like this, which leaves basically just the media only able to publish tiny parts of the story. And as we all know, context is very important. The narrative framing even, so like a lot of the media coverage frames Tom as a fugitive father or a bushman survivalist, and this type of framing is like creating drama and keeping readers engaged, but it's oversimplifying the real reasons behind the custody disputes and downplaying the systemic failures as well. And one way or another, like, whoever's side you're on, it doesn't matter, because either way there are systemic failures, no matter what angle you look at it from. So like speculation versus fact, like the rumors such as the claims of substance abuse, they can spread faster than verified details. So that's something to keep in mind. Media can't report suppressed court details. And so basically that just leaves a gap for speculation to fill, which is what happens online. And people feel they're not hearing the full truth and gaps get filled and things filter on. So there's a lot to consider. Which leads me to our fave, police and state narrative. The police control a lot of public messaging, let's be honest. Like when Phillips went missing the second time in December 21, the police initially said that they weren't searching because, and I quote, he told his family he was going bush. And I don't know what else that does aside from downplay how serious the situation could have been. But later when sightings happened and the rewards were offered by the family, that first reward of $10,000, the media then amplified the police statements rather than digging deeper into why systemic responses seemed slow. Another huge one is the kids' privacy. Like I said, this is the most sensitive part, the welfare of the kids, and it's heavily protected. It needs to be, and that's like the moral basis of this story. Even when they were found safe, like the details about their health and education and all of that sort of stuff is going to be tried. I don't know how to talk. They're going to try and keep that minimal is what I'm trying to say, because that protection is super important, but it also means that the public only get half the picture, and again, speculation jumps in. So yes, it's very likely that the media narrative is incomplete because of legal restrictions, editorial framing, police and media reliance, kids' privacy protections. Tom's perspective is one that is kind of only going to be based off inference until I suppose the kids are older and they have the chance to speak for themselves and speak freely as adults. But it's one that I want to chat about. So let's talk about Tom's perspective. So basically, from all of the research I've done, Tom really kind of framed himself as a father protecting his kids from a system or a situation that he didn't trust. He lived off the grid for nearly 4 years with these kids and obviously taught the kids survivalist skills. And obviously, it's just wild to think about. But he appears to have avoided authorities deliberately, obviously, and suggesting mistrust or fear of losing the children. And I think whatever way you look at it, it's so sad. Like I was saying to my mum earlier, if you're looking at it like he's done the wrong thing, he's in the wrong and he should not have custody of these kids by any means, it's so sad that he did this and did it so fiercely. But if he did do this because he can't trust the system, he can't trust the police or the courts, and he knows that his children are not safe with their other parent, he has gone above and beyond what any parent has ever done. And he has gone to this extremist, almost apocalyptic level of survival. And also, either way, no matter the truth behind his story and the children's story, traumatizing for these children. I can't even begin to find the words to explain how traumatic this would have been for the children, not going to school, not living a normal life, like not having access to, a toilet, a shower, a kitchen, a warm bed at night, pillows and blankets and toys and friends and family and all of these really important things for kids. It's so traumatizing and it's almost, it's a stolen childhood in my eyes. And either way, I am super sad. I do feel like on one, if I knew the truth, I could give you my honest opinion. But my only honest opinion is no matter what angle you look at this from, these children have been the result of a systemic failure because their own dad was so, no matter what he's done, he was so terrified to have his children in the care of the state or the other parent that he felt that this was the only way forward, and that is sad. And imagine living this post-apocalyptic kind of lifestyle where you need to break into for means of living to support your children. It's just awful. And then if you look at it from the mum's perspective, actually we'll do that in a minute. We're going to do that. Yeah, let's do that. So from Kat's perspective, she says, let's just jump ship here and pretend we're her. And she's saying, Tom is using our kids as pawns in his game. He's selfish. He's put them at risk. She's made public emotional pleas, letters, videos, saying she loves them, she misses them, she wants them. Some commentators argue that she was let down by the family court system when she raised concerns. So she could also be a victim of systemic failure here. And this could be true. This could be a mum who is without her kids and desperately wants them home. And the system has failed her and allowed this horrible, evil man, their father, to do this. Like, it breaks my heart. Like, at the end of the day, the kids are the product of the system, because no matter what way you look at it, like, they're the ones who will suffer the consequences. And yes, Tom died, and, that's sad, but the kids are going to suffer these consequences. And when you look at it from a police and state perspective, like, initially they didn't search during the second disappearance because they said, oh, he's just, gone bush. He told his family he's gone bush. And then they all of a sudden started treating him as a fugitive, wanted for burglary and firearms offences and failure to appear in court. And then they're, making these extravagant rewards for $80,000. And then once he has been shot and killed by one of their own, they've then said that Tom was dangerous and irresponsible and not heroic. So from their perspective, they're just like, this is just a dropkick guy who's used our resources, wasted our time, and yeah, that's basically their perspective. And like, I don't even want to give the media too much of my attention, but they're early framing this, like amplifying police releases rather than actually investigating deeper into the family court background and like what the hell has gone wrong here for something so extreme to happen. Nearly 4 years, guys, like what the hell? They focus heavily on the spectacle of like off-grid family. Like, they're off-grid. No, like off-grid is when you still have a freaking house and you're living in the house and like you still got running water, but you're just off-grid. Like you're just not connected like to the internet, and like, you have solar panels and it runs your electricity, not in the fucking wilderness in New Zealand in the freezing cold, hiding out for nearly 4 years and having to break and enter to steal things to survive. Like, far out. Then the public perspective, like, this is the most divided and controversial one. There's some that are sympathetic to Tom and frame him as like a hero or a rescuer who like saved the kids from this unfit mother. Some of them see him as exposing flaws in the system, or a father who's willing to do whatever it takes to protect his children. And like, both of these could be true, but others are critical of Tom, which could also be true, in saying that he's selfish, he endangered the children's health, safety and education. And let me just say, whether he wanted to or not, he still did that. They accuse him of controlling behaviour and removing the kids from their mother and wider family. So like, either of these could very well be true. The wild rumours that I've read online have like a darker narrative circulating that say that, oh, he might have fathered a new baby, and then other people are saying, yeah, he did with one of the kids, and like all of this wild crap. And I just want to say, there's no verified evidence of this right now, so like, please take this as, this is speculation online. Literally, that's what it is. But the case of Tom Phillips and his kids resists any simple narrative by any means. And on one side, there's like this public perception that paints him as a vigilante father who rescued his children from an unstable home. And on the other, it's like a far darker interpretation, one that sees him not as a protector, but as a man whose like isolation, his secrecy and his behaviour or alleged behaviour, such as rumours of fathering a child with his oldest daughter, like wild, point to exploitation and harm rather than care. But from a criminological perspective, this divergence like reflects two theories at play. The social learning theory suggests that people justify or even normalise behaviours through cultural narratives. Tom becomes kind of like this folk hero fighting a failed system in a way, particularly in rural communities that are more distrustful of authorities. And at the same time, control theory reminds us that secrecy and things like withdrawal from society and the breakdown of social bonds are often precursors to deviant or abusive behavior. Psychologically, we can also consider cognitive dissonance. Supporters of Tom might downplay potential harms to preserve this narrative that they have, like where he's a savior. But the truth, however, rarely rests fully with either extreme. Let's be honest, the truth is lying on the outside of both of those. The lived experiences of the kids and their safety and well-being are central. But they're being overshadowed by all of this speculation about the parents' roles and who's right and who's wrong. Ultimately, like, I have to say, this case, like, it highlights how public perception is shaped less by facts and more by the stories that people need to believe, whether about like a heroic father or a dangerous abductor. The reality may well lie somewhere outside of these polarized perspectives, where systemic failures and interpersonal trauma and individual choices intersect. In criminology and psychology, such like complex, this story, I'm sorry, it just gets me. It's so complex, and yeah, complexity is often the rule rather than the exception in cases like these, if that makes sense. I also have to say, I had my friend here a couple of weeks ago. I think I told you guys. And she was telling me that the New Zealand police don't carry guns. So I'm Googling right now. Do New Zealand police officers carry guns? Because I do wonder if they were like told to take weapons. No, New Zealand police officers do not carry guns on routine paroles. Firearms are kept in locked boxes in their vehicles. There we are. So that the officers would have had to unlock them from their vehicles, so that makes sense. Yeah, because I was trying to put two and two together. I'm like, if they don't carry them. Anyway, I don't have a one-sided opinion on this. Like, my opinion's super complex, but I stand strong on the fact that no matter what, the system has let these kids down. Like, how on earth does someone with 3 children exist for nearly 4 years in the bloody wilderness? Like, what? Where have we gone so wrong? Do we need to go back and look specifically at the family court? Like, I'm just so disappointed and upset for these kids, and I do hope that they get the best treatment possible. I know that they're now in the very care of who the father did not want them in the care of, and that is the Ministry of Children, which does not seem to have lovely reviews. It seems to be a lot like the DCP, the Department of Child Protection in Australia. So I do hope that the 3 kids are also kept together and not separated. That's another thing. But yeah, I'm going to end it there and allow you guys to have your own discussion, make up your own mind. I've presented to you the facts as I could find them. It's just an insane story. But thank you so much for being here and listening to me ramble on. Yeah, what else have I got to add for you? Nothing, I don't think. So I'm going to love and leave you. And go and write up another episode for you. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for joining us on this new episode. I hope you have enjoyed it here. You can subscribe to stay up to date across all platforms, including Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. You can help us out by subscribing to our paid episodes, which are on Spotify, or by making a donation to allow us to help more families. You can also join in on the case discussions and make case requests in our Facebook group, which you can find the link to in our podcast notes. But as always, stay curious, stay informed, and until next time, trust your instincts and keep seeking the truth.